this week. Bitcoin trading at 84,640 of Bitcoin.
Glory be to the Father, glory be to the Son, glory be to the Spirit, God.
That's beautiful. And it's a beautiful day. I spoke to Head Snack this morning. He called me while he was taking the dog for a walk out through the mountains. Head Snack's doing wonderful. Certainly on the right side of the market over here. I want to make sure that we stay on the right side of the market. This was a honeymoon type of day. And right now we are in a honeymoon. A lot of people are going bananas. Are we in the banana zone? Is this indeed 4-year cycle behavior kicking off? If you remember, it was just about 90 days ago. And we did a little session together and we said that Bitcoin may be within 90 days of the first hyper bull phase. What's a hyper bull phase? Tricking some for a cycle top. And then you could see 90 days later, right around 90 days later, and past comparisons off of the cycle low kicking into play right now. Is that 4-year cycle bananas? Or are we seeing, what was the date of the election? The date of right over here on Tuesday, November 5th, we saw the run up as we talked about people de-risking down ever since the previous Thursday, Friday, Monday. And then as it was looking like that potentially Donald Trump was going to get the win, you saw on that Tuesday bidding began. And then throughout the evening and since throughout the evening, as the poll data was showing that was aligning, and then the follow through afterward, we saw, I'm talking right now, traditional markets, we saw like strong upward move. And since then, you could see that Bitcoin has definitely reacted to what was a red sweep, not only a Donald Trump win, but also the Republicans having a clean and clear mandate and controlling the House and the Senate, able actually to get favorable legislation for whatever it is they want to do passed. Does that include something like potentially a Bitcoin strategic reserve? Are we seeing Bitcoin mostly keying off of what was the red sweep? Or are we seeing Bitcoin doing 4-year cycle behavior? What do you think? Do you think that if you would have seen, do you think that if you would have seen the election go a different way and Trump winning but not controlling the House or the Senate, or Kamala winning and Republicans getting, do you think that we would have seen the same reaction from Bitcoin? I don't think so. What do I know, though? I mean, look, the technicals price everything in. We're on the right side. It's beautiful. I don't want to, at any point in time, go bananas here, because when we talk about the hyper bull phase, right, tricking some, look, monetary policy is far from aligning. We actually are in a zone where we're going to have to be on our toes. We'll take a look at that all today. Let's start building into this session by looking at where we are right now and what some potential upside might be. And we'll start over here. Well, I guess our positioning first right now. This is just a nice day. It's a honeymoon type day. Knowing when to be in the market, when out, and on what side. We're seeing Bitcoin holding, roaring in the bliss, holding an open position 21% into profit. Ethereum's on the sideline, not participating. Cardano holding an open trade, 61% into profit. Some people talking about Charles being tapped by the president to work on their crypto policy. I have no idea. That if so, that doesn't seem so strategic towards Bitcoin and its strategic reserve. But Cardano here, either which way, we're just on the right side and roaring in the bliss. And Solana's on the sideline, and we're wondering, do we want to enter into Solana right now. We'll take a look at all of that. But right now we are seeing, and Ace held pretty firm and true throughout all of this, that we were going to see the seasonalities continue to play out. Not only have we seen October, now we're starting to see some type of not only end of year seasonality, but election year seasonality definitely taking place. You can't ignore it when you're seeing back-to-back double-digit gains in process over here. I'm reminding everyone that this was an election year in 2016, but the bull market ran all of 2017, and this is where the FOMO really began. Look at this, 47% gain in October, 53% in November, and a 38%. That right there is bananas. That's bananas. Are we in the banana zone right now? I don't know. We're riding some beautiful waves over here. Let's take a look at it all before we get into the CTM on Solana, on Ethereum. Let's take a look at potential upside targets. Now, I know prior to the breakout, when I talk about breakout, I'm talking about the, double top, pull back. Do you like the corn here? And then boom, shot, like beautiful retest, resumption up, breakout with authority. While we were down over here, we were looking in our last public videos last week, we were looking at potential upside targets if we were to break out on Bitcoin. Now that we have, let's continue that conversation and take a look. And the first one was right over here in this zone. The first one that we talked about was in between this zone over here of 80 and 82,000. And sure enough, we spiked into there, tailed off a little bit, came in, and actually, look at that beauty over there. You can see over here closer, you see the break into the zone, lost it, tagged the top end of our zone, come back in for consolidation, and we flipped it right off of support and are aiming up. That was our first area that we looked at of our target, and we said if we broke above it, which clearly not only have we broke above it, we've also, you saw that, confirming that broken resistance level into support, continuing up. Next area we're looking at over here is this structural resistance that we placed off of this peak over here in May. That's coming in right now around 90,000. 90,000 also pointed out by David as being an extension fit, or 89, close enough. So this is our next area of interest. Seasonalities, momentum, everything seems to be pointing in that direction from where we are right now. Above that, we also talked about by the end of the year, looking in this zone over here. This zone is the whole number, where like, let's say by the end of the year. So I'll move into like the middle of December, and you could see 100,000 to 103,000, this upward sloping area of resistance that we're looking at. And those, nothing has changed. Those continue to be the same exact levels that we talked about if we were to get that breakout and acceleration to the upside. They are in play. We don't need to be looking right now at further upside targets. We'll do that in the time ahead. Let's worry about what's ahead of us before, because there's no reason to create any type of FOMO whatsoever. Like the markets are going to always be there, and there's always opportunity. Making sure that right here today, you're getting yourself aligned to have a well-defined plan to keep you ahead is absolutely everything. Let's take a look at this over here. And we saw that no monetary policy alignment, no meaningful ramp up in retail adoption, right? Signaled by Google Trends. We're seeing Google Trends beginning to rise. And then when you look at, this is a good indicator, aggregate YouTube views, Bitcoin seems tied to the Trump narrative at this point, and wonder when that gets faded. Now, I think more so than only looking at retail and retail's participation is this cycle. We're talking about the early majority. Wall Street has entered the picture. You see MicroStrategy continually at the bid. There's potential legislation that would put the U.S. government at the bid. When I talk about at the bid, I mean 200,000 Bitcoin a year for 5 years. You're looking at Microsoft shareholders voting on whether or not they want to take a Bitcoin position. Retail is irrelevant at this point. Retail is irrelevant at this point. And you look at the spot ETF flows over here, and you're seeing in one day, November 7th over here, $1.3 billion. Is that right? Is that what? Yes, a total of $25.5 billion in one day, $1.3 billion. If you are here as a retail trader, as a retail investor, you are an early adopter, you front ran Wall Street, but now I have to say Wall Street is here. Not only is Wall Street here, we're looking at sovereign wealth funds, we're looking at corporations, we're looking at potential, like not just El Salvador and some other like mega big countries. That's when the FOMO begins. The FOMO begins when Microsoft takes a position, and then Alphabet's like, oh, Meta's like, oh, Oracle's like, oh, and you start seeing these mega tech companies, NVIDIA, forget the buybacks. They move from buybacks to stacking sats. That would be the next FOMO. When we talk about hyper cycle, what I mean to say over here is it's not like you're looking at Bitcoin over here peaking off of retail FOMO and then like there's no one left there on the bid. I think that what we have over here is a meaningful cycle ahead of us, but we'll find out. There's a lot of pieces to put together. So the last thing I want to do, we're enjoying this moment. We're enjoying this moment in so much as that we are roaring in the bliss, enjoying it, and we're in a complete position of power. A complete position of power, exactly where we want to be. That was an absolute gift over here by Cardano. By the way, it's the same over here. Let's just take a look at our stock positioning right now. And we're seeing TQQQ, right? Just entering currently into drawdown 0.3%. NVIDIA holding its open position here as on an intraday trade basis, roaring in the bliss at new all-account highs, 5.7% position. FNGU holding an open position also on an intraday basis, the highest point over here. This is a closing basis, new account all-time highs right over here, roaring in the bliss, 17% into profit. And Tesla, true to form over here as per our expectations, if Trump won the election, now holding an open position, 18% into profit. Tesla able to take out the swing high from this area. All right, still got plenty of work to do, but the meaningful breakout was this downward sloping trend line. Broke out, went under it, came up, retested it, right? And then this over here, this tested some people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stop losses in a row. Yes, the stop losses are very tight. Yes, it was all within strategy parameters, 30% win rate. And then after election night, another stop out. But that's when we were there to offer that, like, just that mental awareness of where we are right now, what expectations were to make sure that everyone kept executing and now holding that open position here, 18% into profit. Tesla also intertrade over here, roaring in the bliss. So we never know when you're going to see stock crypto templates aligning over here and beginning once again to be putting ourselves in that massive position of power. It's a matter of executing and waiting for that expansion to be there when it does occur. So I think this is probably the most important piece of the session over here today. I'm going to play about 20 seconds of this clip over here. It's talking about Steve Jobs, and then it's talking about what leaders do and what leadership is. So
the greatest people are self-managing. They don't need to be managed. Once they know what to do, they'll go figure out how to do it. They don't need to be managed.
I mean, that's CTM right there, the Hive Mind Collective. everyone just contributes at their own pace from their own capacity, going ahead and just like putting on that shared vision. But that shared vision, one second,
is a common vision. And that's what leadership is. What leadership is having a vision, being able to articulate that so the people around you can understand it, and getting a consensus on a common
leadership is sharing that common vision and making sure that people are able to get behind it. That's the point right here in CTM that I want to take further right now. It was nice to do the session on Friday, that fun Friday. We took a look at meme coins, right? And then we took at it from a position of like just looking at data and just making assessments, no preconceived ideas or opinions. I was hoping to convince myself, hey, why don't you speculate a little bit and maybe take a meme coin position? And then at the end of the video, the conclusion was CTM templates completely trump it any day, anyhow you look at it. And I think through that exercise, though, and potentially coming up with some universal settings that might help for people that want to speculate inside meme coins like that, that's a good thing. But as far as the vision and what needs to be done over here is we have, right? I'll start on Ethereum and then I'll run it back to Bitcoin, because Ethereum here has CTM 2.0 and then we have CTM X over here on the left and on the right. And as you all know, over the last couple of weeks, after over a year of massive work, I mean, Summit team and most especially Hey You, David on the lead dev doing extraordinary work, finally are on the verge of releasing CTM X V3. And obviously we looked at the potential of V3. This is on Bitcoin. I mean, can you imagine since 2014? Look at the drawdown, the returns. It's just built on top of what we have over here on CTMX, which is built on what we tap over here on CTM 2.0, just an added layer on top of it. But we need to roll out those options of V3 and continue like right now as we are roaring in the bliss, and continue with enthusiasm of coming up just with like breaking every current template we have. That includes here on stocks out on the daily time frame. I mean, this stuff, I have my childhood best friend involved recently over the last few weeks, being able to onboard him. We were speaking, catching up, and I was like, how come you never plugged into CTM and everything that we're doing? He's able right now to be looking at his portfolio and he's seeing all of that. It's beautiful. But we're going to break that. V3, we're not content. We're always reaching for the summit, and the higher we go, out on the range, as you look into the sky and you climb to the top of the highest summit that you even thought possible, and you look around and you see the team that you're working with, and you realize, you know what? We're not done. We're not it is our passion to be the best. It is, how is it possible that we're working with strategies that we are beyond the best of the best? It's a beautiful, beautiful gift. That's why in the beginning, when accidentally that song came up, Giving Glory, it was so beautiful. We have to remember this is all providence. Likely, if you are here, you were chosen to do great things. And it's not about simply making money, providing for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones, also everyone around you. Imagine together what we could achieve on an individual basis. Ace could help those around him, right? How many of you right now could help your community to a much greater degree? And then think about what you want to do 5 years from now and 10 years from now. That compounding effect we have within CTM and the hive mind, that could work not just on what we're able to produce, but also in the way that we're able to help and to give. It's absolutely beautiful. Well, that's part of the vision, actually. It's a good thing we're talking about that, because that's not shared enough, because we're simply working all the time. So one of the things that I want to begin running into is, as we get out V3, is CTM 2.0 on the buy side is a phenomenal and continues on the buy and sell side. I mean, continues to forward test beautiful, right? It's amazing. This is all forward tested since the summer of 2022. You're talking over 2 years now. But we've learned that CTMX is way better on the sell side. There's no reason to be looking at CTM 2.0 with the short side active. We gotta make that change and just keep that out on the buy side. And that needs to be enforced by myself. If you're like trading Ethereum, it's hard to distinguish which is for a buy and sell side, no question, CTMX, right? But if you're trading on the buy side, likely, because right now we're in this major movement and CTM 2.0 has less filters, it doesn't inhibit that growth. There's always that concern if Bitcoin ever sees a wall of like just all of a sudden a dam breaks and a gush of money comes into the market, we have to have the mindset to put all into CTM 2.0 because CTMX is built to stop FOMO. It doesn't chase after large moves. It has filters. ST1, ST2 specifically here is stopping you from entering into that what looks like sharp accelerated price action. I think that on the buy side going forward, especially during bull markets, it makes sense to be looking at some type of utilization of both, or at least have that awareness so people can decide. Either which way. Do I think that we're going to see Ethereum enter soon? Likely what we're going to see happen on X over here is eventually there's going to be a pullback. After that pullback, we're likely going to see Ethereum beginning to enter the market. If this move is meaningful, what do I mean by meaningful? Come back over here to this, into 2000, into this period over here. And this is when Bitcoin began running hard. And look at this big move Ethereum puts up, comes back down. If the move is meaningful, there's going to be plenty to capture. That's a large gain right there that I'm circling. That's not the initial push and rush. This is coming later. And if right now we're going to see a meaningful move put in by Ethereum, we will be there later to capture. It's not all about simply the last individual trade. I wanted to show you what the gain was on that particular trade. Let's come back over here to early 2000 and right over here, 148%. If the move is meaningful and lasting, CTM on X on Ethereum will be there. Right now, we're seeing the weight carried by Bitcoin and Cardano. I took off the daily here because that's the next thing. I mean, going forward, and I talked about as we move towards the launch of V3, V3 will have no daily options, only on the 8-hour. Is it because the daily is bad? No, it's a magnificent solution, but the daily, the 8-hour is way better. As we look at Solana, we need to look at Solana also. Cardano here, CTM 2.0, CTMX, both of them holding that beautiful position and capture. What a testimony to the buy side boost, in so much as that the buy side boost entering first on Bitcoin, taking about a 9% gain on the full position, and then another 25% or whatever allocation you're using for Cardano entering the market over there, now into massive profit. Even though Solana did not enter the market, you're still seeing the capture because of Bitcoin holding that open position. So do I think Solana is going to enter soon? Solana, we know, is only entering after, you can see over here, look at this large run up. Solana has a history of entering, except for over here. after large run-ups. Look, all I could say is our V3 option is significantly better. This is good. I do want to move forward and no sell side on Solana as we move forward. And it's nice to see like lots of drawdown being achieved, like bought back over here. But the daily template on Solana ran into a massive drawdown. And in the drawdown, we said it's not broke. And now you can see that it's almost made back all of that drawdown thus far. Still about 7.5% to go. Solana on the daily, I don't think that it's a solution that we want within CTM. And we're just going to revert all towards the 8-hour. Unbelievable. I mean, the strategies developed are absolutely insane, but there's no question. Michelle, so just a little clarifications over here, and this was why we were talking about Ethereum. By the way, Bitcoin bull run template here, catching and holding on to a banger, looking fantastic. Everything here looking super solid and strong. When we first Ethereum CTM 2.0. Out of all of our CTM 2.0 templates, which by the summer of 2022, we were able to establish what our best of the best were, every single one of them has been forward tested, with the exception up until today, over two years of performance and data, with the exception of Ethereum. Ethereum's the only one out of all of our templates that had any type of adjustment. And that adjustment took the stop loss on the buy side and moved it from 13% to 3%. Now I'm going to go ahead and make that adjustment, and you can see that the overall return increases from 5 million to 9 million. The drawdown over here with the 13% is at 33%. With the 3% takes it down massively to 23. It wasn't the case at the time we made that adjustment, though. At the time we made the adjustment, actually, you weren't seeing, as far as I remember, a difference in drawdown. You were seeing a loss of return. We just felt more comfortable with the tighter stop loss and were willing to forsake overall profitability because of it. As it turns out, though, and we ran into some nasty area in the first quarter of 2022. First quarter of 2022, if you remember, looked like this on Ethereum. We had just ran it up. Oh, sorry about that. We had just ran up to a new all-time high at the end of 2023 and then went into a drawdown, which was its biggest since the halving of Bitcoin in 2020. And then right after there, was able to run it back up to new all-time high. But this was the largest drawdown, likely during that drawdown with the 13% stop loss. We were using the 3%, but likely with the 13, you saw then the overall max drawdown increase. So that's the only adjustment that we ever made out on CTM 2.0. We haven't made any adjustments on CTMX ever since we were able to launch and create everything. I'm sorry, on stocks, that's not true. On stocks, they were just recently added on the daily a few months ago. But we haven't made any adjustments to BTC 107, to 103A, we haven't made any adjustments to our crypto templates and only added our new daily stock templates. All right. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful day. You're seeing also Bitcoin miners beginning here to gain some traction, and that's looking nice as well. Let's take a look at that from this perspective. So NASDAQ right now, it looks like it took out Friday's high, or is taking out Friday's high right now after making a new all-time high. S&P 500 is slightly right on the day. Looks like equities here giving back some of its recent pumped, and crypto here, but not Russell, which is just off its all-time high over here still. The miners, though, are making some big moves today. Someone didn't like that. That's what it is. The Russell is just off its all-time high. NASDAQ had just made a new all-time high, and we're seeing the Dow and S&P 500 running strong and high. We're seeing CleanSpark over here beginning to run up. We're seeing Mara beginning to run up, Riot running up, and it reminds me a lot of what we were seeing as Bitcoin hit the last quarter of 2020 when you saw them miners joining in. That hopefully continues. We have on V3 to add over here. Where's my, there we go. On V3, we'll be looking at adding MicroStrategy to the mix. This is the daily on V2 that is just, look, 122%. Ace, that was Aldo, I believe, putting out that template. This is Ace on the daily after taking that massive profit, re-entering. Kept out over here by ST1. All right. Beautiful work. We'll be looking at MicroStrategy, which thus far has been well outperforming the miners, but it remains to be seen, in my opinion, whether or not we're able to see the Bitcoin miners play a little bit of catch up over here at this particular time. The question is did V3 take Ethereum and Solana? We don't have any type of workup on, well, that I've done. Only the Bitcoin over here. We have Ethereum as well. And Ethereum is out of the market. I don't have it pulled up right over here, Hypanova. Ethereum was also out of the market. By the way, also of note, V3 entered later than CTM 2.0 and CTMX, only holding a 13.5 open position. I know that there are works within core of Solana templates. I don't think I've seen any Cardano templates. And that's actually, Hypanova, what I wanted to talk about. And that was when I was talking about the vision. And I want to, right now, while we're in this position of power here, work really hard at organizing and moving towards having V3 templates available to all those CTM. Not that CTM 2.0 templates aren't enough. Not that CTMX templates aren't enough. But V3 is better. And that's what we're looking for. And the thing is that right now, we're perfect. But where CTM really excels is where everyone gets it wrong. Is when that pullback begins and people get caught into drawdown and you don't know whether it's going to be 30, 40, 50% drawdown or if it's going to also be lasting in duration. And during bear markets, we clean up and set ourselves so far ahead during bear markets. So right now, instead of like waiting for a bear market to arrive and then really looking for where we could like make that improvement, while we're in the midst of this bull, and it's not the bull of all bulls running at this particular moment, but that will come. I think this is the best time here for us to really focus on continuing the momentum that we have and making sure that we're able to provide the best tools for us to continue over here going forward. Timothy, CTM is where you have to join the community to add CTM indicators to TradingView. And you're welcome to join us. You're welcome to join us. We're always looking for new talent. That's another thing in that video with Steve Jobs. He said, like, my job is to find that talent. When you have a group like CTM, it works and it hums. And to get into that, like, higher end of CTM, That takes someone just simply being willing to work and contribute. Hey, you joined us in January 2023. You know, how many people joined us on CTM and have moved up to CTM Core and even into the Summit team? We're always looking for people that could add to CTM. And sometimes CTM, like adding to CTM, may be simply participating, being active, and being a positive and supportive presence. Everyone plays their role. All right, everyone. We're going to leave it off here today. Short and sweet. And begin a week here of me trying to take the reins and continue that progress that we all working out on V3. Enjoy this moment. It's beautiful. And let's continue forward. We don't need bananas. We don't need to FOMO. We don't need to guess. We have calculated risk for calculated returns. Knowing when to be in the market, when out, and on what side is absolutely priceless. Everyone, God bless you. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you all back on the inside.